Chapter 31 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. Lin Chingyu couldn't react for a while. Lu Wancheng is 18 today? According to Lu Wancheng's 8 characters, he was already long past 18. He was actually approaching the age of weak crown. This 18-year-old wasn't Lu Wancheng. It could only be him. It was only a birthday, and it wasn't a multiple of 10 birthday. If this was his own birthday, Lin Chingyu wouldn't have cared about it, much less waited specially and woken up someone in the middle of the night for it. If this was before, he would have driven him back to the bottom bunk, turned around, and continued to sleep. But Lu Wancheng's eyes were so clear and bright, as though he'd been looking forward to it for a long time, just to share this little secret with him at this moment. Lin Chingyu sat up. He swept his long messy hair past his shoulders and walked down the steps to get out of the bed. He could hardly make out anything in the darkness, and his clothes brushed against the ground. Going down the stairs, it was all too easy to carelessly make a misstep. Lin Chingyu really couldn't understand how he had been convinced into accepting this bunk bed that was so far out of this world. Be careful. A hand stretched out, thin and fragile like broken gold jade. Lin Chingyu also stretched out his hand, but he didn't dare to borrow any strength from it. He placed his hand ever so lightly on Lu Wancheng's palm. Lu Wancheng's cold extremities were an old problem. Lin Chingyu didn't possess any sort of young, heavy physique, but his hands were still much warmer than his. Lu Wancheng felt the warmth and softness in his palm, and before he had time to react, Lin Chingyu had already landed safely and released his hand. Was this considered hand holding? Held, but not completely held. Lu Wancheng let out a couple of muffled coughs. Feeling exhausted, he had to sit back on the bed. He said with a smile, "I wasn't planning on waking you up either, but 18 is very important to me. I wanted to share this moment with you." Lin Chingyu used a fire stick to light the candle. He asked, "What's so important about being 18? In my hometown, there are a lot of things boys can do once they turn 18, and the same goes for girls. For example, you can play until late at night. You can stay outside by yourself, and you can..." Lu Wancheng stopped, his eyes lingering on Lin Chingyu's lips, as if he was a little embarrassed. "I have been looking forward to this day since I was a child. After I got here, I have been counting the days in my heart." Regarding Lu Wancheng's true identity, the two have always had a tacit understanding. If Lu Wancheng didn't bring it up, Lin Chingyu never took the initiative to ask. However, he was still able to piece together the image of this other person from Lu Wancheng's occasional words. He didn't know how the boy turned into Lu Wancheng. He didn't want to believe in the supernatural, but he believed in his own gut feelings. The boy was probably a smart and lazy teenager, in good health but always lacking sleep. He certainly wouldn't have been someone who worked hard in the school while the teacher lectured on top of the podium. He slept soundly off it. Yet, despite this, he could still win the top spot for all their assessments. He must have very good looks and has unwittingly captured the hearts of many of his classmates. The snacks he received from his admirers he shared with his friends. It was a pity that he was too lazy to even respond to other people's good impression, so much so that he has never even held a girl's hand. And today was the boy's 18th birthday. In this way, in your hometown, the 18th birthday is more important than our 20th birthday. Yes, I was just over 17 when I came here. I thought I wouldn't live to be 18. I didn't expect it to be delayed until now. Lin Chingyu asked knowingly. Oh, and to whose credit could it have been that you have been able to persist to your 18th birthday? Of course, it is to our Dr. Lin's credit. His body was too weak, and though Lu Wancheng couldn't get his words to come out loudly, a smile could be made out of his tone. Chingyu, I'm really happy that I was able to live to reach 18. So, no matter how it was supposed to be originally, Dr. Lin, who instead of poisoning me, gave me an extra half year of life, has always been in my eyes a beautiful and kind hearted protagonist. Protagonist was another unfamiliar word to Lin Chingyu. Maybe it was because the candlelight tonight was too light and gentle. Lin Chingyu didn't feel like guessing anymore and asked directly, what does protagonist mean? Lu Wancheng looked at him and said, the so called protagonist is the one who, no matter how many glens and flashes of swords and daggers, how much foul wind and bloody rain he has experienced, no matter if it's during the moment he crawls out of the quagmire, he will always be the most dazzling one. Lin Chingyu smiled lightly. Seated beside Lu Wancheng, his posture was relaxed, his eyebrows lowered, his eyes restrained. The coldness all over his body had dissipated, and his jade like face was so beautiful under the flickering candlelight that it made one's heart tremble. With just one glance, Lu Wancheng quickly looked away, not daring to look again. Oh, these cuties. Like, see, like Lu Wancheng didn't say a lot of stuff. He just merely slipped, some words, some kind of like phrases, and Lin Chingyu was able to piece together like a persona of him. Like, okay, so he's definitely like somebody else. It's not Lu Wancheng, and his previous life was like this. That is so nice. And also that, they're always bickering, but it feels like they have this a little bit of like, the calmness around them. They feel calm with each other, good with each other, and Lu Wancheng is definitely crushing hard. Oh, that's so freaking cute. Shoulder to shoulder, the two sat side by side on the edge of the lower bunk. Lu Wancheng wanted to say something else, but found himself inexplicably lost for words. His Adam's apple bobbed up and down. He couldn't squeeze out a single word, only that half-dead thing in his chest jumped violently. Lin Chingyu didn't notice the way he was acting strange. He asked, in your hometown, what are the customs for celebrating birthdays? Lu Wancheng thought about it and said, we eat longevity noodles. Lin Chingyu said, I will have someone help you make it. Taking advantage of it being his birthday, Lu Wancheng reached for a yard after giving an inch. Why won't you be the one to help me make it? Lin Chingyu paused and said, I'm not very good at it. Lu Wancheng just smiled, his eyes curving. Then, just do what you can. Oh, so freaking sweet. Although Lin Chingyu was not born to a rich and noble family, he was still a proper young master. He had been served by others since he was a child, so he was naturally not good at cooking. If they were to talk about what he was good at, it would be. Lin Chingyu stood up. Undress. Lu Wancheng was momentarily stunned, thinking that he had misheard. What? I will give you an acupuncture treatment so that you can sleep more peacefully tonight. Lu Wancheng's smile froze on his face. He raised his hand and scratched his eyelids with the pad of his fingers. Thank you. On Lu Wancheng's 18th birthday, Lin Qingyu gifted him a good night's sleep. Soon it was going to be winter. Hualu folded and piled up the spring and autumn clothes. She put them in the cabinet and changed them out for the thick clothes of autumn and winter. Last year's old winter clothes were all put in boxes. Hualu spent a lot of time sorting them out. Unexpectedly, she found a special set of gorgeous brocade robes in the depths of the wooden box. It was the wedding dress Lin Qingyu wore when he married into the Hao mansion. Both the crown and veil he wore that day were packed together with it. Unmarried girls were always enthralled by wedding dresses. Hualu unfolded the wedding dress and hung it up. Admiring, she said, "Young master, Shaozhen, look at what I found." Lu Wancheng looked over but couldn't understand what she was excited about. "What is this?" "This is the wedding dress Shaozhen wore when he got married. Don't you remember?" Lu Wancheng sat up straight and looked at it for a long time. He said, "It seems it is." Lin Qingyu said indifferently, "What are you doing taking it out?" Hualu smiled and said, "Shaozhen usually wears plain clothes dyed only with a single color, and the one you wear most often is white. I have never seen you wearing bright colors." Huantong interjected, "Didn't you see him the day young master and young master Hao got married?" At that time, young master was wearing a veil to cover his face. It didn't count since I didn't see his face. Hualu looked at the thoughtful Lu Wancheng and joked playfully, "Young master, when you lifted the veil and saw Shaozhen in his wedding dress, were you shocked?" Lu Wancheng was heartbroken. "I forgot." Oh, he's so cute. The only thing he remembered was seeing a great classical beauty upon waking up. Then he was too busy being shocked that he forgot to engrave the beauty of this man in his heart. After all that, he was so sleepy that he fell asleep. Looking back now, he only remembered that he was good looking, but he really didn't have an impression of just how good. Hualu's eyes narrowed. "That was a once in a lifetime event. How could you forget?" "There is nothing surprising about it." Lin Qingyu added a few pieces of charcoal into the brazier in front of Lu Wancheng. "I myself don't remember how young Master Hao looked like in his wedding clothes." On their wedding night, all he thought about was how to poison Lu Wancheng to make him die sooner. How could he have had any other thought to spare on looking at some wedding clothes? Lu Wancheng pushed the wheelchair to stand before the unfurled wedding dress. He reached out and touched the gorgeous golden silk. He said, "Tell me, Qingyu, how much money will it take for you to wear it again and show me?" Lin Qingyu didn't even lift his head. "If you want it worn so much, why don't you wear it yourself?" "I will wear it. We can wear it together." Seeing that Lin Qingyu remained unmoved, Lu Wancheng said cheekily, "Please, oh miracle working Dr. Lin." "You would bow your head to ask for this trifling matter? Can't you have a bit more dignity?" Lu Wancheng whispered, "Because I really want to see it." If he were to see it again, he would definitely remember it even if he were to die. Lin Qingyu hadn't had a chance to respond yet when a servant came in to pass on the message that Pan Yang was inviting Shaozhen to discuss matters in the front hall. Like, how many times has it been? Like, people interrupting their conversation. Can't you see people are conversing and like, wait? Ugh, this has happened so many freaking times. Ugh. Early this morning, Lu Niantao had taken a carriage to the palace. This time, Liang Shi did not accompany her. The candidates for the prince's side concubine hadn't yet been determined. The empress invited all the noble girls into the palace, saying that it was to admire the flowers. However, everyone knew that this was actually a selection interview for the prince. As soon as the flower viewing party was over, the position of the princess's concubine would be decided. Although Nanan Hao deliberately kept his distance from the crown prince, he still had a positive attitude towards his daughter's possible selection. The selection of the side concubine was open and above board. It also had the emperor's approval. When all was said and done, the crown prince was the crown prince. Sooner or later, he was going to rule the empire. If Nanan Hao could have his daughter be by his side, this could be considered as having a backer in the future. According to the Momo in the second young lady's courtyard, the second young lady dressed very plainly today. She used to prefer delicate pink, but for her trip to the palace this time, she wore plain white and did not wear too many hair accessories on her head. Panshi said, "Compared to the other noble girls, I'm afraid that while she may appear more elegant, but not rich enough." Lin Qingyu sneered. "Don't worry, the crown prince might just be fine with this." Of course, she is like totally, cosplaying Lin Qingyu. Oh gosh, this girl. Panshi said cautiously, "I also heard that her makeup for this time's trip to the palace was a bit strange. She made a beauty mole under her left eye, just like yours, Xiaojun." Oh gosh, this girl. I don't know, she is doing her best. Let's just say she's doing her best. If she did not have this bad blood with Lin Qingyu, and if his mother and if her mother and brother just shut the freaking hell up and didn't try to provoke Lin Qingyu or Lu Wancheng, they could have had two parallel lives, not interfering with each other. But no, they had to show they have power. They had to make sure the other kind of have a fault to feel superior. That's what I don't like, because I don't really care about crown prince, and if this girl actually ends up with him, I'm like, nah, I don't care. You guys do you. Just leave Lin Qingyu and Lu Wancheng freaking alone. Lin Qingyu didn't have any special reaction when he heard this. He said with a cold expression, "This is the path she chose herself. No one forced her. No one tempted her. If something were to happen in the future, she will have no one to blame but herself. This has nothing to do with anyone else." Panshi lowered her eyes and agreed. "This is but natural." Seeing that Panshi made no move to leave, Lin Qingyu asked, "Is there anything else Yin Yang wishes to discuss?" Panshi hesitated for a moment, then said, "I remembered that Xiaojun said before that the young master won't make it to the end of the year." Lin Qingyu was slightly startled. He said, "Indeed, it is already October." Panshi looked as though she couldn't bear it. "Is it time to start preparing for the young master's funeral?" Lin Qingyu was silent for a while and said, "I will handle this matter myself." Oh my gosh, it's appearing. It's gonna be here before you know it. Oh freaking gosh.